and welcome to another episode of the Pint Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Tick, joined once again by Matty Schembri. How are you, mate?
Hey, mate. How are you?
And, of course, to my left here, Holshy. How are you?
I'm good, Tick. You?
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
But we're back. We're on board. Another episode 9. It's going to be a red-hot episode. I can tell already. I'm feeling it. I'm vibing it.
We've missed a lot of sport. There's been a lot of sport happen right across the world.
There has.
It's hard for me to even keep up.
Even a man like him, who's got all the time in the world for sport, he can't keep up with it all. We've actually played a bit of sport recently as well. We caught up down at the Canefield Ashes.
What a good weekend it was.
We were just reminiscing how good we were.
When no one's there to see it.
Of course, yes. And I didn't take any catches in a dress this year. I didn't take any catches at all. All right, so today is going to be an episode very heavy, built around the Sports Whisperer. So the tipping comp that's going on at the moment with all the worldwide sports. We've covered that a lot in the earlier episodes, and it's been a little while since we've looked at it. So we're just going to run through those sports that either have been completed or are about to be completed, get an idea, I suppose, who's still in the mix. But first of all, we're just going to run through the leaderboard of the Sports Whisperer, have an idea of where everyone's at. Holshy, can you give us a bit of an indication?
Well, so one of the big reasons why we haven't caught up for the last couple of weeks was I headed off to New Zealand for a fortnight over the Easter holiday. It was with the family.
To play Fortnite?
To play. No. And during that time, there was so many events that took place or finalised and all the rest. So when I got back, it was this big update. So apologies because we haven't been updating every event, but then all of a sudden there was like 4 lots.
It was crazy, wasn't it? Like the lead up to it, you had to get all of those ones organised. And then I was like, oh, the F1's on this weekend. You're like, no, we got to get rid of it.
It was like literally every day or every second day for about a week there. So, it's got a bit of a swing, and the first, 3 or 4 updates I sent through, it was virtually the same top 10 people. But there's a lot of newbies in there, including the animal.
Oh, the animal.
The animal.
On the charge.
I think he was like in the hundreds, and now he's top 10. So everyone sort of spoke about the mystique of the animal. No one.
We're still talking about it.
Yeah. And but he's starting to make his move. So Philip Clayton is leading the comp on 80, and James Nottingham 76, equal with Brady Zeith second. Now, Phil and James racked up 40 points in 3 events.
Yeah,
including 20 points for the surfing of the Bells Beach Pro.
Who was
so
that?
they got 40 points in 3 events. Now I'm on 30 points for the whole competition. So that sort of gives you some.
And there are gimmies in there. There's Max Verstappen.
And the Australian women.
And the Australian women's in the World Cup team.
That's 20 of my 30.
Did you pick? Oh, no, I was going to say the Royal Rumble was a bit of a win as well. But
if there was any opportunity to screw it up, I did it. So credit to those guys. James Nottingham has come from nowhere to be coming second. Matty Brady, a good mate of ours, on 74 on 4th. And
he's come from nowhere, hasn't he? Started off slow, and he's rocketed up the charts.
Yeah, he is, because he picked the Saffers in the World Cup.
The women's T20
because they're very fit, apparently.
Yep.
So he's coming in at 4th. James Griffiths 69. Darren Usher, another good mate. 68. Paul Coxon, who's been thereabouts the whole time, on 66. The animal sneaks in on 61 points. Famous Brisbane Bronco, Michael Hancock.
I didn't realise he was on this.
Yeah. The
third leg.
The side stepper. 60 points.
Yep.
Jason Boyd, 59, and Timmy Zeith, who's also sort of been thereabouts as well, 59. So both the Zeith brothers are in that sort of top 10.
And you mentioned that this is the top 10, so, there's a few, I can see there the 9 and 10 both on 59, so they're kind of tied. Where do we stand on this? I know you mentioned you're on 30.
Yeah. Well, I'm coming equal 148th.
Right.
So it's sort of I'm poised right now.
Yeah.
I'm at that position where I've got a lot of.
It's like the Melbourne Cup, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got a lot lined up.
Don't want to be out in front early. And
no, like a mongoose. I'm ready to strike now. But then Matty, out of the three of us, Matty's on 40 points. So he's equal 86th.
Ooh,
Equal
nice.
86, yeah. And Tick, you're leading the pod. 46 points, so you're equal 53rd, but still 34 off the lead.
I felt pretty chuffed about that. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm leading us. And then I realised I'm only 16 ahead of you. It's really not that many at all, is it? No. But then again, we're talking the top 10 is at 59 points. I'm at 46. It's not too far away. So,
no.
And that's a lot of what we're going to cover today as well is seeing, who have you still got in the race for these sports that are kind of coming up towards the finals.
And still shitloads of events to come. Yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah. There's plenty of ground to make up. And the other thing was as well the quarterly winners as well.
So at the 3-month mark, Brady Zeeth and Paul Coxon were equal leaders. So they'll be getting sent out a pint glass.
Nice.
With their name on it. So
it'll
custom.
be empty though. You'll have to fill
when we order those, we'll better get Schembri one so he doesn't have to use Goldies anymore. So
and you haven't watched that yet either.
So Brady and Paul, they'll be coming your way over the next month or two.
So that's that other thing as well. All right, well, you've got mates, you've been telling them about this and go, well, hey, should I join? Well, join now because, that next 3-month period, we're already a month into it, but you can win that prize if you jump on at any stage.
And just getting some practice for 2024.
Absolutely. Bigger and better. So I think that covers off basically our leaderboards and where we're at because you mentioned those big rushes of Phil Clayton and James Nottingham there. So let's jump straight into something that really interested me over the weekend, and that's the NHL playoffs have begun. Schembri, not your bag exactly, but and to be honest, not mine either. I mean, you're wearing the jersey of a team that's no longer in it anyway. But we're into the second round of the NHL playoffs.
Yeah. So the NHL is the ice hockey in America.
Yes.
For those that don't know what the NHL is exactly.
So where are the playoffs at to this point?
Oh, they're all over in North America.
Okay.
So yeah, it's the second round. So they kind of come in. It's down to the last 8 teams pretty much. So effectively the winners of this are into the points, for the Sports Whisperer. So it's in that top 4 category. I'm going to start off with my team, and I was ridiculed pretty heavily in episode 1 about this, about my pick, which was the Panthers. And I picked them because I had a hat of theirs in 95 or 96. And I've since found out that the last time I think they made a good run into the finals was in that year. So hat theory has just gone up another level. And there was 2 other tipsters that also picked the Panthers. But over the weekend, so the way their final systems work, it's a best of 7 each kind of round. Yep. They were down 3-1 to the Boston Bruins, who they'd set a single season NHL record for wins. They were basically, in league parlance, the Penrith Panthers of the last 2 years. They were just the Ducks nuts, could lose, but couldn't lose kind of thing. They were down 3-1. The Panthers come back to win 2 to take it to the 7th game. I turned it on, I think it was Monday morning. We had the public holiday, and I went, I'll see if, it's on. I flicked it on. So it's the first time I've ever watched ice hockey. And to be honest, it's hard to watch on TV because the puck's going everywhere real quick and you kind of go, where is it there? And they were up 2-0 at one point, the Panthers were. Then eventually the Bruins came back to be up 3-2. Right. Down to the last 2 minutes, I think it was.
57 seconds left.
Yeah, well, 2 minutes to go. They pulled the keeper out, so they had... Oh, yeah. How many on it? Is it 6?
Yeah.
6 attacking, basically, and then, 53 seconds to go. We were going down the beach, my wife and I and the kids, and there was 4 minutes to go, and I was standing there watching. She's in the car with the kids waiting to go. She's like, oh, what are you doing? I was like... the washing machine also had 4 minutes to go, so I was like, I'm waiting for the washing machine. I was standing there watching the ice hockey, and then
I've used that.
53 seconds to go. I've just let out a big woo, and I texted Holsh, saying, hey, he's like, what's this for? I was like, because we were kind of half texting about it. And so the 3-3 to take it to overtime. But then I had to go put the washing in the dryer, and off I went to somewhere it didn't have signal as well. So. But they end up winning it in overtime. Wow. So a lot of the tipsters should be pretty happy with this from the Sports Whisperer, because the Bruins, I think, had it was something like 100, around about 100. So it was at the time half the tips, half the people.
Matty would have been pretty happy.
Yeah, the Bruins,
Go on.
So not just the Bruins people, are not happy, but they
Lucky Goldie.
He was the one that ridiculed me the most about that as well.
But you're right about watching the ice hockey on the TV, because some of the goals in that match were phenomenal, but you really don't appreciate them until they slow it down for you. Mm-hmm. And you watch how they deflect it in, or they wrist shot it into the top of the net and so forth. It's an amazing sport live, but it's very hard on there. But I still think that was probably one of your big highlights for the year.
Oh, absolutely, and I think it'll stay that way, because it was just what it made you go back to is just sport is good. If you've got some kind of investment in it. Monetary or otherwise, I didn't have any money in it, but just this tipping competition has made me have a little bit of an interest in it, just keeping an eye on it. But just that moment of understanding the context of how much of an underdog they were. They may not go further than this, but that was good enough for me to go, hey, how good's that? I got to experience that moment as a fan for a fleeting moment, which was good.
So with the Bruins gone, that'll wipe out myself and a lot of other tipsters.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just looks like there's about 50-odd tipsters that are actually still alive out of the 8 sides, which is that's about a quarter of the competition. Wow, okay. So it'll be really interesting over this.
And so the Panthers are now up against the Maple Leafs, who were the second-ranked team in that division, and they've got the next most tips are still in it, so they've got 23 people riding them home.
Well, when Bruins got knocked out, everyone's like, Maple Leafs got the easy run now. They're just going to cruise through.
But they're 1-0 down already. I know. So the Panthers have taken
next year I'm actually heading to Florida, so I realise I might be able to get you another cap.
Unless it's the one from back then, I don't want it.
By the way, I went the Winnipeg Jets, and they got knocked out by the Golden Knights. The first game of the series, the Jets actually took it, but one of the guys, and I haven't been able to put myself to watch it, but he got sliced open on his face by one of the opponent's blades on the bottom of the... He went off 75 stitches and came back on and played. 75 stitches, and they won. Wow. They didn't win again.
Yeah, okay. And that is how he became the Joker.
He looked like something out of that Tim Burton Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, brutal. But a few other good games in there, and a few people with, going to be getting double points as well. The Stars, I don't know the tipsters, but there's the Dallas Stars. There's 2 people on them. The Kraken, no one picked. I don't know why they didn't pick him. Such a good name, I don't know if you've ever had a Kraken. We've all had a Kraken, actually.
One weekend in January.
Once a year we're having a Kraken. So we should have
Cheers to Usher.
Should have got those. And the Hurricanes and the Devils, once again, low tipsters amounts. So there's a lot of double points on offer. Someone, I think, in there is going to get some double points at some stage. So, something to keep an eye on anyway. Particularly for myself, a new fan. I'm not going to watch another game. Probably likely, but it's never.
The Panthers are still alive, so
it's just never at a good time. All right, so moving on from there, we'll probably just jump over quickly to another American sport, which is also in its final series, which is the NBA. Now, Holsh, you're probably the man on the street for this one.
Yeah, well, I'm obviously a huge Phoenix Suns fan, and
you don't have that hat on.
Oh, don't. Sorry.
That's the Braves.
I haven't got my Suns hat on. Well, I'm a Suns man, and they're actually playing against my tip, which is the Nuggets. And the Nuggets are leading them 2-0 at the moment, and the Suns lost Chris Paul, CP3, to a groin injury in the last game. So whilst he's not probably in our top 2 stars, he's one of our stars that can control the game and contribute a lot. So the Suns are looking a little bit weary in their depth department, but the Nuggets are looking great. So, how many? 12 of us have picked the Nuggets.
Yep.
Now, the Miami Heat caused the biggest round 1 upset.
Okay.
Knocked off the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis
Yep.
Greek freak. And they are now playing the New York Knicks.
Oh, okay, yeah, I've got that wrong.
So, yeah.
So the Nets are gone.
The Nets are gone.
Okay,
yeah.
yep.
Yeah, the Nets are gone. So, yeah, Miami, New York Knicks. So, Miami, Luke Wildman Albone.
Yeah.
He's the only one
early
that's got the
doors, the craziest tipper you've ever heard of, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
And now he's in with a good chance of
triple points. So, you know, if he can get through this one. The Philly 76ers, who have Joel Embiid, who was announced today as the MVP of the competition. They're currently 1-0 up against the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, our boys.
And a lot of others.
So, yeah, only
half
one.
the comp.
Josh McPherson is the only guy that has Philly 76ers. I really hope they knock out Boston, who
I respectfully disagree. I mean, when the Panthers knocked out the Fame, I liked that, but in the basketball, it's a little bit different. You know what I mean?
100 tipsters do have the Celtics in this one.
Yes.
So that would be, you know, I would
yeah.
love to see that happen. The Nuggets, my tip, cruising. And then the probably the most interesting fixture left is Golden State, who are the... Oh, I'm doing a Schembri here. Golden State, who are the reigning champions, against the LA Lakers. Now, the Lakers...
This is big business, isn't it, these two teams?
Oh,
like that
massive
this
rivalry.
is like the...
Yeah, so the Lakers, for 2/3 of this season, completely stunk.
Yeah.
They're also... Like, I cheer for the Dallas Cowboys, and the Lakers are basically the Cowboys in NBA.
Right.
You're either a Lakers fan or you hate their guts. Okay, so every other team... If you're not a Lakers fan, everyone wants Golden State to win.
Yeah, okay.
Because of the LeBron and how they try to make the super team. But anyway, they stunk for 2/3 of the season. They came to the trade period, and they had a very successful trade period. And they got everyone back from injury, and now they're making this huge run. So they had to do a play-in. So they could have got knocked out, not even made the playoffs.
What's a play-in mean?
So a play-in is where you've got like the 9th, 10th placed, they play each other, and the 7th and 8th play each other. So 7th versus 8th, if they win the one game that they play, they stay in it. But then the loser plays the winner of 9 and 10, and then that one. So they end up filling the last 2 spots in the comp.
Yeah.
Now the Lakers came out and won their first round against the Memphis Grizzlies, who were the 2nd seed.
Goldie's team.
Goldie's team. He didn't take it real well. And now they just played the first game of the second round against Golden State, and they're up 1-0.
Yep.
So LeBron James, all of a sudden, everyone's... Yeah, it's one of those love-hate where every game is going to be very closely watched, hoping that...
Yeah, okay.
I hope the Lakers lose, but they're
Well,
scaring me.
He mentioned it. If you're not a fan, you hate him. And I guess we hate him too.
Sounds like it.
You do.
Because we're Celtics guys.
So anyway, it's a very exciting comp, and all the teams that are left are a genuine chance of actually winning it.
Okay. Oh, very exciting. So moving on from there, so that's got a... How long does that kind of take as far as... Because the turnaround's pretty quick on the games as well. Like,
Well, there's 7-game series, but they play every second day.
Yep.
So it's probably still
month away or something.
4 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I probably should just mention Jim Geiger is the only one that tipped the Lakers.
Yep.
And
at the time that he tipped him, they would have been...
Oh, they were putrid.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I just thought, Jim hasn't even looked at the comp at all. But anyway, he's
obviously didn't look at sports bet like you and I. Hey?
Exactly.
Now we'll bring in the soccer expert for a bit of soccer corner with Schembri, or football with... doesn't actually work with alliteration. We'll start with the FA Cup.
Yes.
What's going on there?
So the FA Cup, since we spoke last, the semi-finals have taken place. So that was Manchester City versus Sheffield and United versus Brighton.
Okay.
So Man City won their semi... I can't remember the exact score, but it was relatively easy, like most games that they're playing at the moment. Pretty easy result. United got through on penalties, so I think it was 7-6 in their game.
Oh right,
yes,
okay.
And that was 7 penalties in a row, and then Brighton missed theirs. So or it might have been the other way around. They missed theirs, and then Manchester. Yeah, I can't remember, but basically they'd been straight all the way through. So
looking at the like. And excuse my ignorance, but looking at the Premier League table, like Brighton's at the bottom.
No, they're in the top 10.
I'm thinking of Everton.
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
Yeah, my bad.
They've had a pretty
Everton
good year,
watch.
Brighton, and there were no easy beats. So that was a result that United. I guess it was a good result because we see the two Manchester sides playing in the FA Cup final, which is, I think, early June. So not far away.
So is that at Wembley?
That's at Wembley, yes.
Yeah,
So
4th of June.
That's right. And the semis were at Wembley as well. Which, so I guess it's going to be a bit of a challenge. Manchester City look like...
Is that a one-game final?
Just one game. Yeah, that's right, yep. Manchester City look pretty much unbeatable in anything at the moment, but you never know. So that'll be an exciting finish.
Okay, yep.
Interestingly, looking at the tipping comp, we've got 60 people that have picked Manchester City and 40 that have picked Manchester United.
Yep.
So there's still quite a lot that are alive for the
once again, that's half
points.
the comp is kind of in that.
I got
that final.
United. I'm alive.
Yeah, so have I.
I think I went Liverpool.
Okay.
And they were going
Well,
straight up.
yes.
Yeah.
But it's probably well done to the people that picked the semi-finalists because even though they lost the semi, so there were 3 people that picked Brighton who will end up with double points. And interestingly, 1 person picked Sheffield, which is a great result.
Yeah. Who picked that? Tony?
Okay, my wife picked that, and
Well done, Kate.
I remember when it got locked in, and she was like, "Oh, I forgot. I was meant to change that because I had no idea. I was going to ask you like who I should tip." I went, "Oh, look."
She just went based off the nanny. She's like, "Oh, Mr. Sheffield." I'm like, "Yeah, he's good."
I was like, "There's no chance." I actually thought they got knocked out ages ago, and then tonight I find out the semi-finalists.
So as a triple points winner, Kate will get 9 points for Sheffield losing their semi-final. So well done.
That
means that the team that loses the final will actually get less.
Yeah.
which is great.
That's a great.
And also, Kate's at the moment coming last out of the 5 Holsnaggles in the comp, and that will push me to the bottom.
Who knows, mate? Something might happen in the next. You might be able to rig it or something like that in your own. You do control it after all.
But so if you want something to do on Sunday morning of the 4th of June, wake up and watch the Manchester versus Manchester FA Cup final.
It's my dad's birthday.
Game.
Maybe we can watch it together.
We'll all go around to Goldie's place.
He'll be doing something for it for sure. Quickly, we might touch on the A League as well. Now, you profess it's not your number one league in the world, and it's in the name. It's A League. They didn't aim for anything very high there. So at the moment, we've got the elimination finals in place. So I found very curious as well how they structure their final system.
This is, I think it works as 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5.
Yep.
With 1 and 2 have already gone through to the next stage.
So that's semi-finals.
That's right.
Effectively.
Yeah. So these elimination finals, Adelaide versus Wellington, and the winner will play Central Coast. And then Western Sydney versus Sydney, with the winner to play Melbourne City.
Yep.
But yes, as you noted, the elimination finals are one-off games. So you could have come third and still get knocked out on this one game. Yeah.
And then it's weird from there. The semi-finals are 2 games, and then the grand finals 1 game again.
Yeah.
It's very bizarre how they've kind of gone, well, we need to maximise the semi-final.
And what was the reason for that again, Matty?
Why? Because the A-League seems to run a very weird and different final series. I don't really know, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I guess it makes out of a 10-team is it 10 teams in that competition?
Yeah.
You've got a top 6 that are playing finals, which seems a lot. But anyway,
Yeah, that does seem quite unfair to finish third and just
a
have
bit
your
more
whole
of this.
season
well,
gone.
I guess so.
But if that was the case, why wouldn't you extend? Like, I know you're trying to get more finals involved, but then having that semi-final as a 2-leg round and then going to the grand final. And I know that a grand final in itself is, here it is, the grand final.
The spectacle.
But just to go from 1 elimination final, 2 semis, and then 1 grand final, it's just, it blows my mind how
it's confused us.
Yeah. Obviously a lot of people, Melbourne City was by far the biggest tipped team. There's 147 people, and I think all 3 of us tipped Melbourne City as well. So, a few other people. Adelaide United, Jess Rowan, she's the only one that's picked them. So, obviously hoping that they can progress and pick up triple points there would be nice for Jess. The Champions League.
Champions League, yes. So, again, since we spoke last, we've had the completion of the quarterfinals. So, we're through to the semi-final stage. The semi-finalists, in the first semi-final, we've got Real Madrid versus Man City. And in the other one, the all-Italian affair of Inter Milan versus AC Milan, which is a exciting semi. That's interesting because...
Mono y mono.
Yeah.
It's a one-on-one battle.
One-on-one. There's one tipster that's picked Inter and one that's picked AC Milan.
Yep.
Meanwhile, there's 19 people that have picked Real Madrid and 57 that have gone Manchester City. So quite a few alive still there. But those semi-finals, the first leg is next Wednesday with the second leg the following. I think the final is later in June sometime.
Okay.
Exact date, I think, late in June.
So it's a fair
It's
while
a fair way
after.
off, yeah.
Okay,
So the UEFA Champions League final is always played after the completion of all the major leagues in Europe, so that's why it's later on. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And who's the battle? Who we got? Andy Mantan and Liam. How do you pronounce that? Judas.
Guedes. So yeah, Andy Manton versus Liam Guedes.
Yep.
When Liam comes to Gabba Troopers, it's written on the back GWEEDY. So people
okay.
can pronounce it.
I thought that was a Star Wars character or something like that. It does sound like one. Guido or something like that. Well, that's I don't know.
An interesting one from the quarterfinals. So, and this was Holsh, this was your team that got knocked out. So, AC Milan versus Napoli in the quarters. Napoli is way ahead in the Italian league at the moment. They're first. I think Inter and AC Milan are like fourth and fifth, but they're about 20 or 30 points behind Napoli, who are just killing it. But Champions League brings out different results, and AC beat them, which was a big upset. So that's what we've got, the all Milan affair in the semis, which is pretty exciting.
Very good.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, I'm Real Madrid, so I'm still in there as well. So
I'm well and truly gone.
A few points. Yeah, you got very early.
I went for PSG, who didn't even make it out of the round of 16. I don't think.
So we'll move on now to the NRL, and it has been a while since we've potted. So there's obviously a lot going on there, particularly with the Sports Whisperer. We'll get into a bit of general chat with NRL as well. So quickly run through the first of all the try scorers and where they're at. So Campbell Graham from South Sydney, currently on 11 tries. He picked up three last week against
on Friday night.
The Broncos, and he's playing really good. And when you talk state of origin, I think he's got to be. Well, I don't necessarily think he will be there, but I think he's got to be there. He's the best centre in the game at the moment. I don't love this idea of New South Wales going, well, here's your best players. Let's put, they talk Tommy Turbo in the centres. He can barely play for Manly at the moment. So I wouldn't pick him at all, myself. Regardless of how good Tommy Turbo can be. This year he hasn't been it, and I just wouldn't pick him at all. And Campbell Graham, he can either play wing or centre. So I think he's a must pick in either of those positions. Your man Holshy, Micah Sevo with 10. He's kind of quietly gone about his business, I think, and
a bit like me in the Sports Whisperer.
Except he's actually at the top of the leaderboard. There is a big difference between those two. Then there's 5 players on 9 tries, and from there I think Hammer's in there.
Yep.
Ronaldo,
how's your pick going?
My pick, Corey Oates, still on 0. He obviously got taken out by your Dally M pick, Scott Drinkwater, broken jaw, gone skis, and now he's injured himself. So I'm probably a fat chance there of getting any points for the try scorers. But then the Dally M points, we've got Payne Haas, who's out in front at the moment with 23, and I think he really showed his worth to the Broncos by not being there. I read an article today saying he's probably the only person whose contract value goes up when he's not there.
He's not playing,
because I don't think they necessarily missed him as much as is made out. Like, they got towed up by the Rabbitohs, obviously, but I don't think it was because of their forwards getting rolled over. I think it was they didn't take their opportunities when they had them, which they still got.
For well into the second half, they were still playing quite well. I think Souths ran away with it towards the end, but the scoreline flattered them. I don't think they were that much better than the Broncos on Friday night.
And I think, the other thing with Payne Haas there out in front on 23 is he's missed a week now from suspension, so he's only got a week in hand, and the way that they penalise everything these days, when you're in the middle making a lot of tackles, it doesn't take much for something to go wrong and for them to scream bloody murder on absolutely anyone at this stage.
How often would a prop actually win the Dally M? Like
0. I don't think
0.
It's ever happened.
So there's been one. So excluding dummy halves, there's only ever been one forward that has won the Dally M, which was Jason Taumalolo, and that was tied with Cooper Cronk. 2016,
it was a couple of years ago.
2017, something like that. So it'll be a great feat if he can achieve it, and he's well on track so far. He's playing really well.
I guess especially props always have at least 20, 30-minute break in a match. So,
but the influence that he's got on that team, like I noticed in particular in that Parramatta game, there was a try they scored where they were you know, as a team they were going downfield, but he made a run that was about, say, 20 metres. Then there was an offload that happened to go to him, and he just did the same run again for another 20 metres, and you just went, we're watching greatness here. Like, he was just epic.
And he seems to line up for an early hit up early in the tackle count, and he's always there for tackle 4 or 5 before the kick. He seems to squeeze 2 in every set.
But he's got that real
huge engine.
You know, you talk about Taumalolo. That's what Taumalolo was. You know, so many years ago, you looked at him and went, "How is this guy doing this for such a big bloke?" So, you know, Cowboys fans, fingers crossed he can get back. We'll get back on the field.
Text me the other night saying he looked pretty easy to tackle, though.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I don't know. I'll show you this later. I saw a video today of him as a schoolboy.
Right.
It was him like playing against obviously actual schoolboys. Holy shit! It looks scary. Like
when he came on the scene, like as the youngster, like he got injured badly, and Broncos still signed him for that 5 years or 6 years. Like, and he became a more priority signing than a lot of other big name forwards in Brisbane at the time. And like as a supporter, like we were like, what is this guy capable of? Like, why?
And you're starting to see it now.
Yeah.
And you know, you talk about those big, you know, last year they were booing him because he wanted more money.
Or
but
he wanted out, didn't he? Or it was probably just to play for more money, I suppose.
But he deserved
well,
you know, he's starting to show that he deserved the 6-year contract.
Do you think he'll be at Broncos next year?
I do. I think he'll want to win a premiership with them.
Well,
rugby money is too much for him to say, you know, realistically for him to say no is
I think he's the sort of player that he should stay in league.
Yep.
He can still get that opportunity later in his career, but I think where he is at the moment, he has the opportunity to do something great in rugby league.
Yeah. And the other thing is, and this is a, you know, not a sport topic, but you know, his mum's going through a lot of stuff at the moment with the courts. Is he going to leave that all behind? And he's got young brothers and sisters, and he's obviously the main breadwinner for that family. Is he going to leave all that behind to go over to France or something and play rugby union? You know,
when he can probably do the same later in his career as a bit of a retirement fund anyway. But win a comp, win a Dally M.
Leave a legacy.
Yeah. And so, you know, leading in with that Dally M, Nathan Cleary, he's on 21, you know, unsurprisingly, I think that he's kind of amongst the points. And then you got 3 on 20 points below them, Harry Grant, Nico Hines and Reece Walsh. And I think, you know, I picked the Sharks for the premiership this year. Early on, the Sharks weren't too good. Hines was out with a calf injury. He's come back and just picked up where he left off last year. And
the Dally M's going to be really interesting because, as we touched on, I think in the last one of the last ones, 6 points on offer because there's 2 judges as opposed to just a 3-2-1. So that's why we're seeing Payne Haas at 23 points and we're only 9 weeks into the competition.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So
because I think in the past, like 30-something was enough to win it.
Nico Hines won it last year with high 30s or nearly 40, which was a incredibly high score. We're talking about these players 9 rounds in and they're over halfway there.
I've spoken to a few people lately about Nico Hines who have said he is the best half in the competition at the moment, and I'm not saying he is better than Nathan Cleary, but this year he's just got it. You know,
he's been great to watch.
I'd say I wouldn't begrudge anyone saying it. You wouldn't go, you're crazy. You know, it's like saying, oh, Sean O'Sullivan's the best half. Or, yeah, that's a bit out there. Anything else to cover off on the NRL?
Maybe only one more being this weekend. So, 9 rounds in, we're leading into round 10, which is Magic Round. So, Holsh, you want to give us a rundown on what's happening with the...
Yeah, very true. Yeah, well, this weekend we've got one of my events, the Wizards, for their second year. So we're going to be heading along a few beers at the Paddo in Brisbane and then heading along to the 3 Saturday games. I haven't got them written down here, but all 3 of them are
we were discussing before.
Yeah, so it was Warriors versus Panthers, then Cronulla versus the Dolphins, and then finished off with Melbourne versus Souths, which I think is a great day.
Absolutely,
It's huge. So, it's last year when we had our first event, it pissed rain for like 5 hours straight. And we were sitting out in the open. So the weather's looking a lot more conducive to footy this weekend. So, really excited about that and just to get down to Brisbane and see some friends and watch some good footy.
Well, I thought you were going to bring up the Broncos Raiders game and I was going to pull your mic down there for a second.
I'm very happy they beat the Broncos. That's Canberra. But, I'm going grey quickly watching Canberra every week.
Alrighty, moving on to the AFL, just a bit of an update there. The only one we can really update from the Sports Whisperer point of view is the Coleman medal. So we've got Jeremy Cameron and Charlie Curnow both on 30 goals for the season. And when I looked this up, I got really confused because the third place is Charlie Cameron, and I'm reading Jeremy Cameron, Charlie Curnow, Charlie Cameron. Have I missed something here? Is there a quirk in the system? But Tom Hawkins is also on 22 with Charlie Cameron. But Charlie Curnow, 9 goals in his last game. That's got to be something a bit.
Yeah. As a Carlton supporter, it was very nice to watch. But keep reality, keep it in perspective. They were playing West Coast, who are struggling to put a team on the field because of injuries. And
What did you say, 17?
17 injuries, and I think they might even have another suspension come into play this week as well.
How big are their squads?
The squads are sort of around the 43, I think.
Okay.
So if you take 17 out and you're meant to have 23 on the field,
right.
You basically, in that 43, you have a number of rookie listed players, etc. That development players. So these guys are probably get them on. You're playing against the big boys, and Charlie was amazing. He was the best on field by far, and can't take that away from him. But the big win from Carlton should have been there because of the team they were playing against.
Yep.
Whereas I think Jeremy Cameron, who's equal with him from Geelong, I think he is the best player in the comp. He's that good.
Yeah, right. I think I picked him. I don't know if I picked him or Tom Hawkins. I think we spoke about. I couldn't remember which one.
Yeah,
I think it might have been Jeremy Cameron.
Yeah, I think it was Jeremy Cameron.
Nice.
But he is a gun. I mean, even in those first few weeks when Geelong were losing, he was still playing really well, and then he's just gone even better since then.
Yeah.
He's a superstar.
Yeah, he is a superstar. But AFL in general, kudos has to go out to the Collingwood Magpies. Yeah. They're playing the best footy I've seen from them in sort of since 2010-11 era when they took that premiership, and they're playing a very entertaining style, and they probably got the they definitely have the favourite for the Brownlow medal with Nick Dacos at the moment. Young gun, second year out, and he's racking up 30, 40 touches every week. The Collingwood Magpies, and they've still got key players coming back from injury, they're the team to watch.
Yep.
Three wins in a row, all by a small margin. I mean, the St Kilda game at Gather Round, then they had the big game Anzac Day, and then somehow from nowhere they beat Adelaide last weekend, which was an amazing performance.
Yeah, it's their big marquee thing is their ability to run out games. Like teams, they're starting to lose their legs, and these guys just come over the top. The Anzac Day one was just
amazing,
phenomenal.
Yeah. Essendon were really good that day, particularly for the first three quarters.
Which makes me feel sick. I hate seeing Essendon play that.
All right, before Holshy gets too fired up, we'll move along from that. Big news in the AFL, obviously Tasmania's been granted a new licence. A long time coming, it seems that there's been talk of Tasmanian team. Was it the Kangaroos used to take a lot of games down to Tasmania? They were kind of the quasi-Tasmanian
Hawks.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah. Yeah,
still do.
I think it's a great day for the AFL, and I don't want to bag the NRL, but the NRL is still so compartmentalised in Australia. It's Queensland, New South Wales, and the one Melbourne team, and they've tried it in the past and it failed.
New Zealand.
Oh, New Zealand. Yeah. Well, that's not
international.
It's international. Okay. But the AFL obviously huge in South Australia, WA, Northern Territory, even though there's no team there, and now.
If you're saying it's an Eastern Seaboard sport, well, AFL's a Southern Seaboard sport. Well, you know what I mean? That is the concentration of AFL. Realistically, what's the issue with having two different sports in Australia?
Oh no, dude, no issues with that. But I mean, Australian rules has become, and they've been the ability for them to take it nationwide and be successful nationwide it's succeeding.
Yep.
And they're going to start talking about where this 20th team's going to come from.
Yeah.
But for Tasmania,
is the Northern Territory a realistic?
I don't know. I really don't know. But I think they would get a tremendous amount of following up there. So I don't know how the infrastructure and the funding and that would work from a Northern Territory point of view. But for me, I'm like, well, this is a great chance. I can go watch Carlton play in Hobart now.
Yep.
That'd be a great trip. And then, the number of people that'll go watch a game and then tour Tasmania at the same time is, it's going to be a big jump in tourism for Tassie, and then obviously for the locals, it's just another massive aspect of their everyday life. I just think it's huge.
What about the name? I mean, they're talking. They can't have Tasmanian Devils because of Warner Brothers.
Well, not yet.
Which is bullshit because that's the name of an animal.
So yeah, how
that's
can
not
you have copyright over an animal?
That's right.
I haven't had a chance.
It'll
to
be the
understand
Devils.
That. Right.
Yeah.
I
Okay. Because the alternatives aren't good. The apples. There was the apples. There was the Mountaineers. The Mariners. I think the Mariners is one of the shittest names.
Well, what's the basketball team? Isn't it the Jack Jumpers? That's what it is.
Really?
The Jack Jumpers.
What do you think of the Thylacines? The Tasmanian Thylacines.
I think the second favourite is Islanders. Tasmanian Islanders. Yeah.
That sucks as well.
Yeah, I don't like it.
It can only be one. It can only be one.
The map of Tassie.
What's this one you got down here though? This at the bottom.
Oh, Tasmanian Two Heads. Or the Hobart Hootenannies, I reckon. A bit of alliteration, they like that. It's exciting, obviously, for the AFL, and they're coming in 2028. I think you said there's a new stadium being built undercover, and very exciting.
It'll be a state-of-the-art facility, roof. Like Holshy said, an opportunity to travel to Tasmania.
But just like with the Dolphins coming in this year, this is something that I will watch their first game.
Yeah.
It's not my sport, but it gets eyes on the TV, and obviously that's not the sole reason for doing it. Getting one person to watch one game, and if they do well, as the Dolphins have, they're kind of everyone's second team a little bit. Where you go, hey, they're the underdogs, and they're new and they're shiny, and people jump on those things pretty quickly.
And the AFL always give these new sides a real chance at succession because of they throw a lot more extra cash to those initial years with their salary cap, trying to bring over some marquee players, etc. And obviously, having that larger salary cap, like players are going to be drawn to them.
Yep.
New franchise get to be part of that, that new image and lots of moolah. And then they'll also get a lot more draft picks.
Yep.
Going into it. So they'll have that youth base. They'll be able to pull across.
How does that work? Because, obviously with the Giants and the Suns coming in, were they at the same time or near enough to the same time?
Very close.
Yeah.
But,
year or two
but they both have that sugar hit, that initial kind of rise.
Yeah,
How are they going now, as far as...
Well, the Giants were very successful early.
But is it because of that sugar hit that they get?
For sure. The Suns, the big coup or the big draw was when they got Gary Ablett Jr. The AFL paid Gary, exorbitant amount.
Here's one for you. Just thought of this. Tasmanian Tigers signing Payne Haas. There's a history of new expansion teams taking Brisbane Broncos. Got Izzy Folau for the Giants, Carmichael Hunt for the Suns. I'm calling it now. Payne Haas, code switch. It's signed for the Tassie Tigers because that's what they were. They weren't for their skills, they're athletes, but they were there for marketing reasons to get people going, let's see how they go. Yeah. Eyes on the sport. I'm telling you, he'll go well. He's got a good motor, so he can run around. I don't think his kicking game's that great. So, I don't know. Just a thought.
But no, it's a great day. Day. So I just can't wait till, it all happens. I'm really excited to see what the name ends up being, actually. Yeah. I just really hope it is Devils because I think it's going to be disappointing if it doesn't.
I think so too. That's the clear favourite and it's just got to be so. Well, they can't be the Tigers. It would have been nice to be the Tigers. It's a different kind of tiger, different logo, everything like that, but it just doesn't quite work out well. Quickly, we'll just run over a few of those other results in the more quirky sports. One you touched on a little earlier, the Rip Curl Pros Bell Beach. Ethan Ewing was the winner. He seemed like a pretty good sport too.
I watched it today, and he seemed like such a nice bloke. And his mum, who passed away when he was 6,
right. She'd won it.
She won the Bells Beach Rip Curl. Well, wasn't probably Rip Curl then. I don't know. Pro back then in '83. So he gets to sign the bell at Bells Beach, and her name's already on there.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So that's pretty amazing.
And so he was only picked by 7 tipsters. So that was 20 points for the win, which is quite amazing. I picked someone by the name of Italia Farizio or something like that. And I saw one of the guys who got some points was Philippe Toledo or something like that. I went, Geez, that's a good name. If I saw that, I probably would have picked that guy. I think they all got 3 points for him. The World Snooker Championships were very recently as well.
Yeah, I think that only wrapped up yesterday.
Right.
And a German winner, which as a Holsnagel, I was proud to see. I didn't pick him, but Luca Brissell.
He didn't sink the name. I don't know how snooker works.
But I think he was seeded 9th, and he was getting thumped by Ronnie O'Sullivan in the quarterfinal. I think he was down 10-3 in ends, and then he won 10 straight. Wow. 10 straight ends against Ronnie O'Sullivan, who won it last year. So he went. Then he got on a run and went through and won it. But Mark Selby, an Englishman, came runner-up.
Yeah.
It was actually a pretty close final. It went back and forward. So
yeah, a few people in the points, 28 in total. Mark Selby obviously coming second, so 6 points on offer for all those guys. Mark Allen, he would have been double points. I would have.
Yeah, I think he was.
Well for split with the third and fourth. That's pretty much us. So there's a few events coming up in the next couple of weeks. We've got the USPGA on the 17th of May. And then the French Open men's and women's tennis. So I'm going to pull out the Scrabble board, get the Enneagram computer going. I'm going to pick a good winner for that. And then before we move on, we were also adding 2 new events to the
I just couldn't help myself.
Yes. Yeah, well, with the Ashes coming up, what have we added, Holshy?
Oh, look, I just think there's just so much excitement around the Ashes. It seems stupid not to have us picking something to cheer on during it. So we'll give everyone the opportunity to pick the leading run scorer and the leading wicket taker for that series as well.
And that's from either side?
Yeah, either side.
Yeah,
either
right,
side.
that's good.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't pick Harry Brooks.
It's
He can't score a run in IPL.
It's going to be a good little lead in there, obviously, with the World Test Championship first as our kind of warm-up to the Ashes.
Just while we're on the Ashes, you would have read this week that they're talking about making the boundaries even shorter again for baseball?
No.
Yeah, so there was a story in the English press around, so obviously the baseball approach of score quickly, how they've been playing recently, and well done to them. The idea was, let's make the field smaller, so then all those mishits will fly for 6 as opposed to being caught on the boundary.
Flat wickets.
Is this the new pitch doctoring, is it?
Exactly. It's now home teams have always set up conditions. I mean, we just finished a tour in India where we played on absolute dust bowls, so it's not the first time that's happened. Surely they're not going to do that. That just make a mockery of the Ashes, I think.
What they need Charters Towers.
I think the idea behind preparing flat wickets to promote baseball, but it actually brings Australia back into the game. We struggle in England in the typical English conditions.
Absolutely.
Why wouldn't you just roll out green seamers?
You've still got Anderson who can bowl.
Exactly. Who's the best in the world at it
Broad's our
still.
danger man, We'll be trembling in our boots facing Broad.
We play on fast, flat wickets here in Australia all the time.
Why would you simulate what we
Our fast bowlers are suited to those conditions, not necessarily the green seaming wickets that we usually confront in England. So
I mean, it's a lot of mind games, and they do last a while. You saw Broad saying that the last Ashes didn't count because I don't know, he had a lot of bloody reasons. None of them were legit.
I do think all it is, but so like that Broad headline, like the boundaries on the Ashes, it's just everyone's so excited about the Ashes.
It's good for it,
so
isn't it?
there's one little thing that's said in the media and it just seems to blow up.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Whatever, let's promote it.
And I love baseball.
Bring it on.
I think there was a quote from Ben Stokes talking about, what would you do in a situation where the match is kind of close and you're 2-1 up and you just need to draw it? He's saying, on heart, we're going to go for the win.
And it's all good to say that, but they have now for 18 months put that into place. And they even lost a test match in England recently by 1 run where they were going for it, not playing conservatively to make sure they didn't lose. So
it's been great to watch those test matches in New Zealand.
But it's been great to watch, but the moment that it gets to Australia versus England, that goes out.
Yeah. It's terrible to watch.
All I care about is seeing us crush the Poms. Sorry, guys.
Now, last pod as well, we mentioned we were going to go into the idea of our greatest sports movies.
Yes.
Comedy and dramas. So, Holsh, we've decided to go down a little different path of not just choosing our favourite 3, 1, 2, 3. We've gone into a little bit of a round robin competition here. So, next week we're going to be kicking that off with our first pool, which we're going to basically compete them against each other to move on down the track. So our first 4 movies, if you want to check them out, I don't know what streaming services they're on. Schembri's only got Netflix, so
if it's not on Netflix, I'm not watching.
You can watch them the preview on YouTube potentially. We've got Major League, which is a baseball movie. Who's in that, Holsh?
Charlie Sheen.
Yeah,
and
right.
I can't remember who else.
I remember Charlie Sheen.
Some Indian bloke.
Okay. I don't think I've seen it. We've got Mean Machine, the only guy I recognise from that, Vinnie Jones.
Right.
Seen that years ago. Crackerjack, Mick Malloy, Spec.
Yeah.
That's a cracking movie.
It is.
It's in the name. And Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby. Who was in that one? So that's going to be our 4 movies. So, yeah, if you've got a bit of time spare, check them out. And,
and I think we're going to get input from the public as well.
We are. That's the plan. Yep. Yes, it's not just our opinion. So,
so look for a post where you can vote yourself.
And then we'll be discussing those movies in length.
The favourites in the next
You're
podcast.
a bit of a cinephile, so you'll have a lot to say about about framing and all those kind of things. So, yeah, that's us done for another week.
Great.
And, we'll catch you next week. And keep tipping, keep drinking. Pew, pew.